People think they know what happened to Michelle Trachtenberg. They think they know why she looked the way she did, why she disappeared, why she stayed silent, why she died. But almost everything the internet said about her was wrong. She was not destroyed by fame. She was not undone by scandal. And the truth behind her final years was far more human, far more painful than any rumor ever suggested. Before we reach the answer the world waited for, we need to go back. Not to the beginning of her career, but to the beginning of her survival. Michelle Trachtenberg, life, trauma, collapse, and the autopsy that revealed everything. Michelle Trachtenberg wasn't just a child star, she was a child worker. By the age of 3, she was already in commercials. By the age of 7, she was doing television. And before she hit her teenage years, she had already become a household name thanks to a Nickelodeon movie that defined an entire generation. To millions of kids, she was the cool girl with the notebook and the brilliant mind. But to the kids at her real school, she was a target. Michelle endured something brutal, something most adults never recover from. Years of bullying, physical aggression, isolation, and a non-stop message that she was different, weird, or undeserving of basic kindness. There were Valentine's days where every child received a card, except her. There were days when classmates beat her. Days when teachers couldn't stop it. Days when she learned that attention didn't equal protection. Her childhood was the first battlefield. Hollywood was only the second. These emotional wounds shaped her early identity and would echo throughout her adult life in ways no one could see. When Michelle joined Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she stepped into one of the most intense fandoms of the era. But behind the applause, there was fear. Years later, during the height of the Me Too movement, she revealed something that made the entertainment world stop. A rule had quietly been put in place on the Buffy set, forbidding show creator Joss Whedon from ever being alone with her. Michelle was still a minor, and the words she used to describe his behavior were chilling. His not appropriate behavior, very not appropriate. She never explained the details. Victims rarely do. Sometimes the silence says more than the story. Multiple other actresses later came forward with stories of their own regarding Whedon. It painted a picture Michelle had tried to survive in silence. For her, Buffy was both a blessing and a trauma, a job that made her famous, and a job that reminded her how unsafe the world could be. But she kept going. She always kept going. Michelle became one of the defining faces of the 2000s. She did teen comedies, she did heartfelt Disney dramas, she did cult classics, and she stole scenes effortlessly every single time. There was something magnetic about her, that mix of innocence and sharp intelligence that made her unforgettable on screen. But even as she worked non-stop, Hollywood was reshaping her destiny. Fans never knew that Michelle was forced to turn down major roles that could have changed her entire career. Because of the demanding schedule on Buffy, she lost opportunities including the lead role in 13 and Catherine Hardwicke's first choice for Twilight. Imagine that. A girl who was always almost in the room, almost available, almost able to accept the part. Her life kept moving forward, but it was never fully hers to control. Then came Gossip Girl, and with it, the role that millions still associate with her, Georgina Sparks, the iconic chaos agent of the Upper East Side. Michelle played the character flawlessly. She had that perfect balance of charm and menace, a villain you couldn't help but love. For years, everything seemed fine. But then came the reboot. Michelle returned to Gossip Girl in a small but deeply symbolic appearance, and fans immediately noticed something unsettling. Her body looked fragile, her skin looked pale, her eyes appeared yellowish, her hair was thinning, her face looked hollow and exhausted. Rumors exploded: cosmetic procedures, eating disorder, substance abuse, depression. The internet tore her apart. Michelle fought back, posting publicly, "I have never had plastic surgery, no malnutrition. This is my face. I am just aging." But even those words couldn't hide the truth anymore. Michelle was sick, and the sickness was advancing. Silently, privately, dangerously. As the 2010s progressed, Michelle tried to restart her career. She worked on new series, she filmed pilots, she wrote scripts, she voiced animated characters, she stayed creative, even when the industry didn't stay loyal. But nothing stuck. Her criminologist series, cancelled. Her sitcom pilot, not picked up. Her films, released straight to DVD or quietly lost on streaming platforms that collapsed. She kept fighting, but Hollywood kept moving on without her. And while she pushed forward professionally, something much more dangerous was happening internally. Her body was beginning to fail. Friends noticed she wasn't the same. She stayed home more, she went out less, she seemed exhausted, emotionally drained, physically weakened. Behind the scenes, she was preparing for a surgery that few knew about, a liver transplant. A procedure so serious that it redefines a person's entire life. And for Michelle, it marked the beginning of the end of her health. This is where part one ends. At the turning point where Michelle's world shifted from career setbacks to a fight for survival. A fight she tried to hide from everyone. By the time Michelle reached her final year, her body was sending signals she could no longer ignore. The dramatic changes people noticed on social media, the weight loss, the hollow cheeks, the thinning hair, the yellow tint in her eyes, were not the result of something superficial. They were the physical signs of a system under enormous stress. For so long, Michelle had tried to keep her health private. But behind closed doors, she was facing something far more serious than online speculation. Her liver had failed, and she had undergone a full transplant, a surgery that is not only grueling, but life-changing. Recovery takes months. Complications can arise at any moment, and even when it goes perfectly, the body becomes vulnerable in ways the outside world never sees. Michelle was dealing with all of that, quietly, privately, silently. And as one friend later said, she was sick, her body was tired. After the transplant, her world grew smaller. She stopped attending events, she stopped doing interviews, she rarely posted photos, and when she did, fans noticed how drastically her appearance had changed. People argued about her face, people judged her weight, people picked apart her photos, the discoloration in her eyes, the gaunt look in her cheeks, the sharpness in her jawline. Michelle tried to defend herself, insisting, "No plastic surgery, no malnutrition, this is my face." She was trying to protect the last boundary she had left, her dignity. But privately, she spent most days at home with her boyfriend and her cat. Her emotional state suffered, her physical state declined, and she lived in the quiet fear that her body could turn on her again. Emergency dispatchers later described her residence as having EDP history, a term used for situations involving emotionally distressed individuals. Though no report ever confirmed this was specifically about Michelle. Still, the picture was clear. She was struggling, and she was struggling alone. In the last week of her life, Michelle did something unexpected. She went out. Friends said they saw her in New York City, enjoying food, company, laughter. It was a small glimpse of the girl everyone remembered, the girl who lit up screens for decades. 2 days before she died, she posted a Valentine's message online. Her tone was warm. Her words were affectionate. No one looking at that post would have believed she was hours away from a medical crisis. The night before her passing, a neighbor saw her alive, awake, functioning, even conversational. No collapse, no distress, no sign of what was about to happen. The next morning, Michelle didn't get out of bed. Her mother found her unresponsive inside her apartment. Paramedics arrived, attempted resuscitation and fought to bring her back. But her body had reached its limit. She was declared gone that same morning. She was only 39. At first, the cause of death was marked as undetermined. But the family declined an autopsy and rumors filled the silence. Was it the liver transplant? A rejection? A medical emergency related to the surgery? Or something darker? The internet did what it always does. It invented theories. But none of those theories were true. Weeks later, the truth finally arrived. The New York City medical examiner completed the certified review, and the official cause of death was this: complications from diabetes. No overdose, no relapse, no mental health crisis, no foul play, no hidden scandal. Her death was medical, it was metabolic, it was the result of a condition that had quietly taken control of her body. Especially dangerous after a major surgery like a liver transplant. Diabetes complications can be sudden, they can be lethal, they can strike without dramatic warning signs, and that appears to be what happened to Michelle. Her body, already weakened by years of health struggles and a compromised immune response, simply couldn't keep fighting. The truth was heartbreakingly human. She didn't die because of Hollywood. She didn't die because of online pressure. She didn't die because of rumors. Michelle died because her body had been through more than most people could endure. When her death became public, the reaction from her colleagues was immediate and emotional. Sarah Michelle Gellar posted a message so raw it made fans cry. Blake Lively remembered the day they met, describing Michelle as radiant and genuine. Leighton Meester shared her grief. Kim Cattrall honored her early Disney years with affection. Taylor Momsen called her a light. Castmates from Gossip Girl and Buffy wrote tributes of love and disbelief. Everyone described the same woman: kind, loyal, authentic, warm, a little guarded, a little bruised by life, but always loving, always trying. Even friends from her Nickelodeon days, people who knew her before fame hardened her, shared memories of a girl who made them laugh, made them think, and made them feel safe. And fans across the world mourned not just the actress they grew up with, but the woman they now realized had been suffering privately for years. There's something profoundly sad about Michelle Trachtenberg's story. Not because her life ended early, but because she spent so much of it trying to protect everyone else from her pain. She survived the cruelty of childhood. She survived the dangers of Hollywood. She survived trauma, abuse, pressure, and abandonment. She survived a liver transplant. She survived public scrutiny over her appearance. She survived the mental weight of being dissected by strangers. But in the end, it wasn't a scandal that took her. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a choice. It was her body, finally giving out after decades of silent endurance. Michelle Trachtenberg deserved more time. She deserved more kindness. She deserved a world that wasn't so cruel to the little girl who grew up on television. And now, what remains is the truth. She was loved. She was hurting. She was fighting. And she was tired. Her story isn't a cautionary tale. It's a human one. A reminder that behind the screens, behind the glitter, behind the rumors, there is a person with a heartbeat, with fears, with dreams, with limits. Michelle Trachtenberg didn't die of mystery. She didn't die of controversy. She died of complications from diabetes, a disease the world didn't even know she had. And maybe that is the quiet tragedy she carried all along, the burden of suffering in silence. May she rest in peace, and may we remember her with the compassion she rarely received in life. If you felt something while listening to Michelle's story, if you learned something new, or if you simply want more documentaries told with this same care, you can support this channel in the simplest way possible. Just tap like and make sure you're subscribed. It takes only a second, but it helps this work reach even more people. And if you want to share your thoughts, your theories, or your memories of Michelle, the comments are open. I read everything. Thank you for staying with me until the end. It really means a lot.